Hi everybody, this is Doug Ringwald at Coaching the Body Institute. Today I'm going to show you how to treat your own low trapezius muscle. Now why would you want to? Well, the low trapezius muscle is responsible for a ton of top of the shoulder pain, posterior neck pain, back of the neck pain, and it can also set up headaches. It's a very important scapular stabilizing muscle, and it's very easy to treat yourself. Most medical practitioners overlook trigger points as a source of pain, even though they have been proven in clinical studies to be the source of 80% of all pain complaints. So you can treat your own pain. It's very easy. I'm going to show you how to treat your low trapezius muscle today. Also in the description, we have a free PDF of how to treat your own shoulder pain. So if you're interested in that, please do get that PDF. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just briefly show you and explain the low trapezius muscle. So this muscle where this X is usually where you will find the trigger point. So a trigger point is a bunch of hard muscle fiber that is actually dysfunctional. So there's a metabolic stagnation here. And so the muscle is not functioning normally, and it'll feel tender if you press on it, or sometimes it's too hard to even feel tender, and it's not very sensitive, but it's dysfunctional. So this muscle is responsible for retracting the scapula, so bringing the shoulder blade back towards the spine, down the back. And oftentimes it's going to get overloaded by people having a forward shoulder posture where the shoulder is always in a protracted position. And this is very common these days because of all the computer use and mobile devices and whatnot. A lot of people are in a forward rounded position all the time. That puts your low trapezius muscle into a lengthened position, and it's always in that position, so the body just straps it down in that position and uses trigger points to do that. Trigger points are hard muscle fibers that can't contract and relax anymore on demand of the nervous system. The body just kind of straps the posture in that position. So what we want to do is we want to get those muscle fibers to soften, to respond to the nervous system again, and then also that will reduce the pain, the referral pain. So most pain in the body is actually referred. That means where you feel the problem is not where the actual problem is. It's usually a little bit removed. So in this instance, we have our low trapezius muscle. Here is the belly of the fiber. So this muscle is running from here along the spine of the scapula to about T12. And so right in the middle, that's where you're going to get that metabolic stagnation. And so right in this area here is where the problem's going to be, but you're not going to feel it there unless you're pressing there. What you're going to feel, the manifestation of this, is actually referred pain. So it refers pain across the top of the shoulder, strongly to the acromion process area here, and also to the posterior neck, and strongly to the suboccipital region. So pain from this muscle can cause a lot of different issues of the shoulder and be misdiagnosed almost every time. There are plenty of diagnoses that people can receive when the actual problem is actually in the muscle fibers. So what we want to do is we want to get this muscle to be healthy again. The way that it'll actually cause headaches is in a pattern called the question mark headache. And let me bring up one more thing there. So what happens is, this is the high trapezius part of the muscle. This is usually where the problem is here, but you feel it wrapping around the head here. Some people actually even feel jaw pain. So you can get this kind of posterior side of the neck pain. It can feel like it wraparounds here to the temple, or you might feel it as jaw pain. But just treating this right here isn't going to do the trick. What we want to do is we want to back up, and we want to treat this, because this is a phenomenon most people are not aware of, and it's called satellite referral. So that's where one muscle's referral pain goes up over another muscle. So in this case, the low trap is referring up over the high trap, and then the high trap sends its pain in its pattern. but you don't feel the whole pain. You might just feel the end of the chain. So you might feel temple pain, jaw pain, or neck pain, and just treating this is going to do much, but you got to back up to the lower trapezius muscle. This is a source of a lot of issue. Now we'll get into the treatment. So we're going to start our treatment with the interscapular muscle. So the muscles in between the scapula, shoulder blade, and the spine. This is the low trapezius, mid trapezius, and rhomboids. And the best way to do that with compression is with a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball. So basically we're going to get the ball back here, and that's why this sock comes in handy. It can be kind of awkward to get the ball back there in some way, and just so you can see it, because the color is orange, so it'll be easier to see. I'm going to get the ball in between my spine and my scapula. So if I put it in the sock, it becomes very easy to control this ball. So then all I have to do is put my arm over my shoulder like this, and then I can control exactly the height of the ball and where it is. So my edge of my scapula, this is the edge of my scapula right here, and this is my spine right here. So I want to go in between, the space in between the shoulder blade and the spine, and anywhere from lower here to higher up into this area here. So if I'm low, that's where our low trapezius muscle is. As I come up a little bit higher, I'm getting more into the mid trapezius and the rhomboid area. So this is the areas we want to be in while we're doing this compression. Now, one thing that people tend to do when they get compression is they tend to move up and down and roll a lot. We don't want to do that. What we want is to roll a little bit, but what we're doing is we're looking for where we feel some hard fiber. So we're using the ball to go across these hard fibers, and you might feel like you're bumping over something, or you might feel some tenderness there. You also might feel the referral pain from this muscle. So we're looking for trigger points. We're looking for trigger point fibers, hard and or tender muscle fibers. So in order to find them, you need to go slowly with the rolling. So it's it's a search. You're looking for hard fibers, and there's one right there. The other thing, and so that's tender right there. It's maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 4. Okay. Now the interesting about it, and I'll show you exactly where I'm at. That's mine right there. So that's probably my low trapezius right about there. And I'm finding some pretty tender fibers. And so what I want to do is I want to actually just relax my body weight into it. Now, if you're not getting much compression, you just step your feet away from the wall a little bit so you can lean your body weight back a little bit more into the ball. So I'm going to do that. Okay, there's that spot right there. And what I'm feeling, here, I'll turn so you can see exactly where it is. Right there. So that's my low trapezius. Now the interesting thing about this is I feel tenderness in that area, but I feel more tenderness actually up here where I'm not even compressing. Okay, so what we're doing basically with the ball is I'm leaning my body weight back into it and putting compression on these hard fibers, forcing them a little bit into a stretch across the ball. So that's some good stimulation for these fibers, but it also will elicit sometimes the referral pain. So this is what trigger points are known for. They don't usually refer pain to their local area. They send it somewhere else. In terms of the low trapezius, it's known for sending referral across the top of the shoulder, sometimes really prominently here at the acromion process, AC joint, and also to the back of the neck, and some people even feel it then wrapping up around into like what we would call the question mark headache. So that's not, you don't need to shy away from that. You don't want it to feel really brutal, but on a scale of 1 to 10, somewhere like about a 3 or 4. And then, so I'm going to stick on that spot there. I just really zoned in on it. The other thing I'm going to do is here's my left arm. I'm going to hold it with my right so we can relax. So my shoulder is totally relaxed. And then I'm going to get on that hard fiber right there. Yeah. And then I'm just going to breathe a couple times. Let my body sink into it. So you don't need this to feel brutal. It should only be like a 3-4 on the scale. Say like, a 7 would be really intense. You're going to, at a 7 level, say, you'd want to like kind of protect your body against it. So you want to stay well below that, because the whole idea is we want to stay relaxed while we do all of this. We're down regulating the nervous system. Okay. So I can take a couple breaths there, and then I can also move those muscle fibers against the compression. So I'm going to take a little bit of weight off. So I just move my feet back a little bit towards the wall. And now I'm just going to start moving my arm. So if I move my arm across my body, that's putting those interscapular muscle fibers into length. And then if I move my arm back towards the wall like that, my scapula is adducting or going back towards my spine. So this is a really nice way of moving those muscle fibers against that compression. And usually you want to back off the compression a little bit. Otherwise it can get it's sudden. You might hit out like a sudden spot in the movement where it becomes very painful, and then you brace against it. So we want to stay away from that. It should just feel kind of like therapeutically good, like that kind of not hurt or pain really, but just kind of that kind of hurt so good feeling, I guess I would describe it. It feels useful. It feels very useful. So that's what we can do. So we find a spot, take a couple breaths there, and then move the arm a few times. So we're changing the length of those muscle fibers against the compression. And now I'm going to find a little bit higher spot perhaps. So the ball was about here. I'm going to come up maybe about here in this area here. I'm going to look for some things up a little higher there. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. So see, I roll just a little bit while I'm looking for hard fibers. And then once I find something hard or tender, I'm just going to sink into them. Take a couple breaths, and now I'm going to move my arm through that range of motion. Now, it doesn't matter what your range of motion is. If you have a very limited range of motion, you just move as best you can. So if I was very limited, I might only just be moving my shoulder blade back and forward a little bit like this. Okay, so that's pretty good on the interscapular muscles. And you don't need to spend a ton of time there, a couple minutes. That's all it takes. This is a single muscle treatment for the low trapezius muscle. Muscles exist in relationship to each other, and they have to coordinate their movement around the joint that they are operating on. So the agonist-antagonist relationship is the most important. When one muscle contracts and shortens, the opposite muscle has to lengthen. So this has to be coordinated with the nervous system. So you will get results with just a single muscle treatment, but to get a greater benefit, you need to treat the antagonist muscle as well as the agonist, so the opposing muscle. For more information about this, you can get our free PDF about treating your own shoulder pain, which is linked in the comments. Also, the next muscle that I'm going to do in this series in treating your own shoulder pain is going to be the serratus anterior muscle, which is a big antagonist to the low trapezius and mid trapezius muscles. So please subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get alerted when I put that new video up, the serratus anterior treatment. Thanks.